we've been addressing this for a while, but I think the important thing that we need to remember is that the reason why we're having this debate on this platform and others is actually the activism by players. These incidences have happened before and they've happened for a while, but it is because players are now speaking out in public, because players are taking the actions of walking off the pitch, that we're actually having this debate. And I think it's important that the public understands players walking off is a sign of strength. It's them facing what is being thrown their way and not accepting it, but actually taking a stand and forcing all of us to actually get to grip with how we deal with the problem. So I think the public needs to be very proud of these players in how they respond to it.
Yeah, but just coming back to what I was just saying, given that you represent footballers, shouldn't have you actually taken a stand earlier and made an official statement of support? Now, you have addressed this previously, but made an official statement of support way earlier.
No, we have addressed this, but I don't want to refocus the discussion here. Clearly, everybody in football, but also beyond football, needs to be doing more to address this. We have been talking with these players in numerous instances. We've supported them. But the reality is that the players are driving this forward, and we're speaking with them, we're working with them, and we're trying to do our part. But we need a lot more from everybody in football to step up.
Okay, so if you need a lot more from anybody else, let's look at that aspect. First of all, in terms of politics, how far do you see politics in Europe, if you look at the situation in Europe, feeding into this racism we're seeing on the pitch?
Well, there is no question that we've had a change in how public rhetoric is operating, and we have an acceptance of much more hateful speech coming from the world of politics, leaking into the rest of society. And there is no question that that is filtering into stadia, and that's a good reason why we have an increase of these instances. And that's where the response needs to go far beyond football in terms of how we deal with each other in societies, and how we finally grapple with the urgency we need to address this. Because clearly football stadia provide an enormous platform for racists to spread their message, and we can't allow that.
And if we look at in terms of the sanctions that are applied, the most severe sanctions just aren't. Now, how problematic is that? Because is that perceived in some respects as a tacit approval, let's say, of what is going on the pitch, because those severe sanctions just never see the light of day?
No, clearly, the message that is sending is devastating. If we have higher sanctions for, ambush marketing than we have for situations like these, it sends an absolutely devastating message to the players, but also to society in general. But what's important is that there's not one thing we could do to solve this. Even if we increase the sanctions, there's so many layers in which we need to address this. And it goes to very fundamental questions such as representation. I sit here as a white male. And it is not for me to really speak about the experience that these people have. So responses need to be drawn up by those people who actually experience this, who've been the victims of it, and who can actually speak with experience. And we need to give those people more places in decision making in football, but also in other spaces.
This is a really important issue. We're going to have to close it down now. But just before we go, 3 words from you about 3 fundamental things that need to change.
Urgency. When I see these images and I don't see the urgency from everybody involved, it strikes me. And that's frankly why the players are taking these steps, because they're forcing us to have the sense of urgency, because everybody else has not responded to what has happened for a long time. Leadership. And we need actually people to get to the table and give those people the say that experiences it, and give them the representation they deserve to solve these problems and provide the answers that we need. It's not for people in power today to draw them up without listening to those who actually experience the racial discrimination and the attack.
Okay, well, urgency and leadership. Well, thanks so much for joining us on Euronews tonight.